The FarStar Company Publishers presents Coffee and Blood, Love Letters Between the Dead by Charles Edward Bluehawk. Volume 2 of 5. A man must have his women to love without limits, or he dies. Notes from my grave. A man must have his women to love without limit, or he dies. Demons took me away. They broke through the barriers that the Hermetics had taught me to build. Salt and candles and herbs and oils meant nothing to true demons, no matter how cute and cuddly they seemed to be. I watched as they pushed on the salt ring around the bottom of the oiled candle, spelled with prayers and sigils to hold evil out. I did not know it at the time, that it was also holding me out. Tells you a lot about me, doesn't it? And so the good magic of the Hermetics worked. It threw us all out of this world and through the door into the nearest bridge. And the bridge took me towards the demon's world. There are lots of hells, and theirs was the nearest one. And as I fell, I noticed that I fall a lot lately, with cuddly little demons swarming all over my body, clutching, tearing, biting, and ripping my skin, my hair, and my eyes. The ghosts formed around us, and they, somehow, frightened the demons away. How a collection of someone's dirty laundry, a bunch of empty bed sheets and used napkins could accomplish this, I had no idea, especially against things made of stone, with teeth like needles. And always, 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 the red burning eyes. Must be a union requirement. So, empty bed sheets, used handkerchiefs, and dirty doilies scared the cute little demons away, and we fell off of the bridge and into a warehouse. As warehouses go, this one was really large, I mean enormous, and it was staffed by other demons. These were more reasonably sized, at least to me, people-sized, and they really did need a union here because these guys were being worked to death, which is why they mostly looked dead. With mostly no skin and lots of muscle, tendons, and veins showing, where their clothes did not cover them. Looked like regular working stiffs to me. Complaining about the boss, the pay, the lousy hours, the crummy food, the usual things we all complain about. But these were dripping corpses. And then their boss arrived. And now I understood why the ceiling was so high. The boss was 5 times taller than me when I was standing, which I wasn't just now, as I had dropped off the bridge 20 feet above the concrete floor. Yes, it hurts. And he was mad, and he was mean. He took personal offense that his men were not working, so he ate one of them, whole, by popping the guy right into his mouth like a breath mint, and after a couple of deep crunches, he swallowed. And then he got bigger. I guess here you really were a big man by eating your own employees. The crew took this as a personal insult. Amazing how easily insulted demons can be. And voiced their displeasure at their pal being chewed on. The boss settled this dispute by picking up the next worker and biting his leg off. This honestly did not seem to slow the worker down, even as he was tossed into the metal racks filled with merchandise. He just caught the railing, lowered himself back down to the floor, got back onto his forklift, and drove away. His pals got the general idea and returned to work as well. The boss went away, which was all I cared about. Me? I hid. Did I mention that I'm not stupid? And then the ghosts came back like a school of fish. I thought maybe they were trying to continue their rescue of me. Boy, was I wrong. For emptying linens, their combined attention managed to open another bridge. And as they startled me and I stumbled backwards, I fell again. I miss those bridges, those doorways between a room in one world and a room in the other world, where you can just walk through. Take a step, you change worlds. Not today. Today, lots of falling. And the dirty sheets were peeling me like a banana. How they managed this, I still don't understand. But they started at the top of my head and peeled my skin backwards and away and down. As I fell through this multicolored sinkhole from the demon's warehouse to wherever, the ghosts were stripping me of my skin. And I was screaming. And I screamed even as my skin was pulled out and down over my mouth, snapping as my lips came away from my body. And I screamed. I screamed as they pulled the skin down over my arms and ripped it from my fingertips. And I screamed. I screamed as the skin was ripped from my chest. I screamed as the skin was pulled from my cock and my balls, and with a snap, the tip of my cock parted from my skin. And I screamed. I screamed as the skin parted from my asshole with a pop, and my intestines were levered out of my ass. And I could not die. And I screamed. I screamed as the final bit of flesh was pulled from between my toes and my toenails were snapped off of my bones. And I could not die. And then they started peeling off my muscles from the top down. And I couldn't scream anymore. As my eyeballs were popped from their sockets to hang floating around me, the muscles were torn off of my bones. The sinews holding for as long as they could, and then they just snapped. And I could not die. And they pulled the muscles down. My organs floated inside of my rib cage, unable to drift away. And I could not die. Pulling the muscles, the veins, the sinews down, I could feel every snap, every twitch as the muscles separated from bone. I could count each moment. I could see the individual seconds of time heading towards me. I could watch as the second stopped in front of my floating eyeballs. I could watch as the second, the moment, passed me by. And another vein popped. Another bit of flesh gave up the battle to hang on to the bone that had been its home, and I could not die. I could not leave my own body, even though it was being turned over and opened, peeled like a banana, popped like a grape. Somehow, I had a lot of time to think about all of this, to think as my body was being stripped down from me. So I guess I am not my body after all. And I still could not die. And then they continued the process. They started with the now bare skull and peeled it open and back, and they rolled the splinters of bone back and down and down and down. I never blacked out. I never lost consciousness. But there are some things that even I cannot talk about. The lie that is love. The horror that is hope. And what the ghosts did to me next. Even as I tried, I doubt that I could find the words to describe what happened next, but somehow they put me back together from the inside out. They had opened me from the top down, And now they were putting me back together from the inside out. I cannot, I will not tell you how they did that. But I could still not die. I cannot die now, but for different reasons. But now, I can scream. And you wonder why you cannot scare me? And you can ask me how I can hate God? Hate does not begin to tell my story. And you honestly don't want to hear it. From the diaries of Jefferson Milton Davis.